Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Vasundhara, and on behalf of Shine.com, I welcome all of you to Shine HR Live in association with Orcapod. Topic for today's discussion is Future of Hiring Process. The format of the event is our panelists will share the inputs on the topic, which will be followed by a Q&A session. I would request all the attendees to keep posting questions in Q&A segment, and speakers will answer your questions in some time. Now, I would like to introduce our panelists today. Mr. Taronish Mongia, co-founder and managing principal at Orcapod Consulting Private Limited, will be sharing an opening note. Mr. Nishant Kalra, Group HR Head at JTech India Limited, our chief panelist today. Mr. Asif Ghani, AVP Product Management at Shine.com. Thank you, panelists, for being here today with us. I would again request all the attendees to keep posting questions during the session. I would request Mr. Mongia to take over now and share an opening note with our audience and also his inputs on the topic future of hiring process.
Thanks, Vasundhara. Thank you so much. And welcome all of you. So excited to see a list of participants coming on the call, and specifically welcome Nishant. We are really looking forward to hear from you. What is your perspective on the topic that we have today? Asif, we are connected for a long time. Super excited to see you back. I'm really looking forward that you will give some technology edge to all the conversation that we are having, and that is really something that I'm looking forward for. So thanks audience for coming on the call, and Vasundhara, thank you for introduction. Today, the topic that we are talking about is a very narrow topic, if you ask me. It's a very specific discussion around, how the video interviewing trend will evolve going forward. Of course, if you would have asked me 2 years back, maybe this was not that important in topic on someone's agenda. Because of the recent events around pandemic, and the requirement of social distancing, discouragement of public transport as a mean of transport, and of course, most of us are working from home. We had no other option but to pursue this path. In a way, somebody said that whenever there is a challenge, you end up learning new things, and maybe this is something that is coming our way. So today, this topic is far more relevant than what it was 2 years back. So today, when we will be discussing and asking Nishant's view about this, we would be looking at not just from a technical perspective, but in a more strategic way, how it will help the whole employee selection process, and going forward, what is Nishant's view that whether it will take fair share of the whole funnel making process or a candidate shortlisting process, or will it completely replace the face-to-face in-office interaction, or will it be more dominant solution against the current telephonic interviews? So there are multiple dimensions on this particular topic, and we will see how it evolves. Without wasting too much time, I'm welcoming Nishant. Nishant, super excited. Would you like to share some views on this topic before we really dive deep?
Sure. So actually, I would like to start from what we used to do in past and what we are doing in current. And as you rightly said that there are a lot of technological changes which are upcoming, and maybe Asif can brief us more about it. But I would like to start what exactly as a HR professional, what we used to do in past. So if I start from traditional recruitment trends or methods which we used to do, so I would like to share two three important things with you. That sourcing talent was it was not an easy job because of limitations of the resources. At that point of time, I remember when I started my career, at that point of time we used to deal with the advertisement in newspapers. We used to get applications through post and through speed post, through registered AD. And then of course we were also used to get some applications, a bunch of applications from our consultants. we were dependent on the consultants also. But now if I see today's scenario, it is completely changed. But if I talk about again, if I go back to the past, it was, we used to waste a lot of our time in unnecessary, or I would like to say non-value added activities, like sourcing of CVs. We used to get, suppose, hundreds of applications, 150 applications, and then or maybe from consultants also, a bunch of CVs, like 10, 15 CVs, or maybe out of that, maybe more than half of it is irrelevant. So these kind of quality we were getting. But yes, if I talk about before going to the future, I also want to come back, what exactly currently we are doing, or the companies they are doing. So if I start from a survey, I got one survey result where MRI Network has done some survey in 2019, and what they shared in their survey, that 76% of candidates expect to apply for jobs and receive feedback via mobile handset. Now it was, we can never imagine in past, because even in 2000 there was no mobile phones in use prior to that. So, and out this is one factor. And then another, if I talk about another interesting fact related to this, is that 52% of employers or HR representative of organizations, they have shared that they are still using the traditional methodologies. They are still having the same pattern which they used to do in before 2000, or maybe somewhere around 2000. They are still doing in 2021. They are still having the same methodology. So it's really strange, and it's a kind of eye opener for us. 52% is not a small numbers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I talk again about maybe the current scenario now, if where there is a lot of hirings are happening, there is another survey which has been shared by one of very leading agency, and they shared that the recruitment process outsourcing, RPOs. RPOs is it's a currently in US, more than 40% organizations, they are having this kind of model.
Yeah.
They are not dependent on their internal resources. They have outsourced this kind of
Yep.
but again, it depends on the ROI benefits, what exactly is the volumes. So it totally depends organization to organization. And it sometimes where there is volumes are there, it will work. But if volumes are not there, maybe it is not useful for everyone. Maybe we having small number of hirings, of course HR has to do by his own. And companies will also not only looking at HR for only for recruitment, they are also doing so many other jobs
Yep.
along with recruitment. So this is one thing which I would like to share. And if I talk about future now, or maybe the current again, now we have a lot of job sites. LinkedIn is available, Facebook is available, Facebook page of the companies. Then you have Twitter chats. You can target your talent from social media, of course, plus job sites. So if I come back to the job sites, it have made our life very easy. If I talk about from HR perspective, our from recruit as a recruiter, it made our life very easy. There is a lot of you can just a click away, you can share your post. And then through advanced tools, maybe Asif will share it better, but there are a lot of advanced tools, AI tools are available, where we can, from the one click away, you have 2000 applications, and you can see 10 or maybe 15 shortlisted application within a very few minutes. You will get it from the tools itself. So this is what is my view of it. And of course, we used to do very limited, we were having very limited hiring through virtual tools. Most of the hirings in the industry, I'm from a manufacturing industry, so I'm talking from my manufacturing industry point of view. So we used to have many interviews, face to face interviews in past. but and very limited through virtual platform. But if I talk about current scenario, I think more than 90% of recruitments are getting done through virtual
Very
modes
nice.
only. So
Absolutely.
it's a big change we can see right now due to COVID, or of course due to COVID.
Yep.
People were not very comfortable with this virtual mode of hiring, but now it's a reality. And there are a lot of advanced tools, AI tools are available, which would made our life further easy. And I would also like to share all the participants who are listening to me. We have to change our approach. We have to make, we have to be more efficient. We have to work as per the time requirement. We cannot say that no, मैं ऐसे 20 साल से करता आ रहा हूँ, मैं तो ऐसे ही करूंगा. So that will not work. That approach will not work. There are things you will, if you do not adopt the latest technology, if you do not adopt the current if, technology, then definitely you are going to lose in a long run. And not only you, maybe organization may not require your services if you are not ready to update your knowledge and skills. So this
Absolutely.
is just my viewpoint. Maybe if anything specific, Tarunesh, you can ask if you
No, no.
want
In
to.
fact, Nishant, you gave us a very interesting insight. If I divide your inputs into two categories, I think the first category, which I totally agree, that if you look at pre 2000 era and when people used to apply through the printed CVs, I
Yeah,
think that the interesting job sites like Shine and all, they have really revolutionized
yeah,
the interaction of candidates with employers. And there's a lot of efficiency that we have got from the job portals, and without doubt, and which is kind of now further leveraged to the
yeah,
professional networking and social networking site. But of course, there is a byproduct of it. It is a problem of plenty. So now on one side, when you had a struggle of finding candidates, and now we are really having a problem, the lever has moved on other side when you have a problem of too much. But that is on the sourcing front. I personally believe that while the job sites have really revolutionized the sourcing and made it much easier, the evaluation and the funnel making process, there is not much innovation that happened in that process until now. It was same traditional,
yeah,
call Tarunesh to office, let's sit across, order a coffee and talk, right? And nothing wrong in it. I mean, that is how people are comfortable about it. Maybe, but then increasingly industry, at least in my industry, I've been from the tech space. I am comfortable with the telephonic interview and conversation since early 2000. So as the catchment area of talent started increasing, and when you said not just within a country but across continents, when somebody sitting in US was interviewing a person sitting in India, you had no option but to have a telephonic conversation. So the funnel making process was definitely converted from across the table to some extent the telephonic conversation, but it has its own flaw. So what industry or companies did, they use it for a funnel enrichment, and then at the final round of discussions, they start calling people across the table so that they can get the softer aspect of it. And then despite the fact that the large part of it has moved to telephonic conversation, there is a lot of inefficiency and logistical heavy lifting that needs to be done when it comes to the interaction between an employer and employee. Yeah. And my personal feeling is maybe it's a forced change because of the pandemic, because we have no other option. People are moving towards this. And this is not an accident. If you ask me whether the video interviews was possible 10 years back, my honest answer will be maybe not. And there were two fundamental reasons behind it. Number one was there was not many tools that were available to conduct video interviews, right? I mean, other than Skype, you did not have anything. And over and above, even more an important factor, you were missing the high speed internet, because the fundamental assumption for a very effective video interview is that the both parties, which is employer and employee, or an interviewer and interviewee, is actually sitting at a place connected on a high speed internet, which was not the case 10 years back. And thanks to 4G and now world moving towards 5G, at least those infrastructure issues and those plumbings have been fixed. And
yeah,
then you have broad availability of platform. So this is kind of a perfect storm that is taking the whole evaluation process towards video interview. So my personal feeling is that uh, those jobs which are context light but skills heavy or a knowledge heavy can be predominantly moved to video interviewing, because there what you're really evaluating is not the softer aspects are less important. It is more important is that, do you know the tools, do you have sufficient knowledge in the profession that you are in. So those kind of evaluation will actually move to video interviews. And I won't be surprised that few years from now companies might just say, okay, you know what, I have taken video interview and that's my last round of interaction and I'm ready to extend offers. And in those cases, which is a very context heavy profession like sales, like senior leadership, where you really want to see the person across the table, even in those cases, at least the first one or two steps, you can replace those face-to-face conversations to the video conversation. That is my personal feeling how the market will evolve. And thankfully, at least on an infrastructure front, we are sorted. That is not a challenge now. It is only an adoption, which is to some extent has been a forced phenomena because of this pandemic. That once we pick it up, I personally believe that going forward, we will see far more interactions happening over video. I can talk about the company that I work in. I mean, we are into talent supply chain, and we deal with very large database on a daily basis. I won't be surprised, on a daily basis we might be facilitating 300 to 400 interviews somewhere with some client at some particular part of the country. We have case studies where we have coordinated more than 100 to 120 people on a single day on a walk-in, where candidates have not moved even a feet, because the whole walk-in is happening in a digital way, which is all virtual, and the interviewers are sitting at the same place, and then they are evaluating candidates and giving their choices in terms of shortlisting and final selection. And these are early days. I mean, of course, we are also learning, and as we will become smarter and we get to know what doesn't work. And the second aspect I personally feel, which is really interesting in video interview, you have ability to record the interviews and you can trace back if you're still confused. That's not an opportunity you have in the face-to-face. Once you meet it, then you really don't have a second chance. And there is a huge logistical nightmare to interact and to facilitate the interaction. Look at the typical interaction that you need to do to just set up one face-to-face interview. I have seen instances where for availability issues, either on an interviewer or interview side, we ended up wasting more than 4 or 5 days just to facilitate face-to-face conversation. Now, in a video world, the availability and the logistics of coordination is 1/10 of what it used to be. So you can really shrink your recruitment duration, and something that was taking 7 to 10 days before you really finally give your view, you can shrink those processes to as small as 2 or 3 days. Yeah, that is my view. Asif, before we really talk about technology, do you have any view on this topic?
Yeah, hi, thanks, Tonish. Yes, I have lots of views, and we have built a lot of things since our last webinar, which has happened. I'll talk about those. I'll also talk about what trends are we seeing in the past 1 year, 1.5 years. Some may seem very radical as of now, but trust me, those are the things that will happen in the future, and we are already seeing that happening. And I'll talk about that, but I totally resonate with what you and Nishant have talked about. So absolutely there. So all these things are happening at a much faster pace that we are expecting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nishant, coming back to you, I know you are from a relatively more traditional industry where technology adoption is not as much as maybe in my industry. Yeah. And you were just saying that even where, I will say from an adoption perspective, you will be a step or two behind than a tech industry where both participants are fairly comfortable with technology tools.
Yeah.
Even in your area, you are saying that people are getting comfortable with video interviews and all, right? Is that what you are saying?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And even now, as we are talking in your company, do you have instances where people are evaluating candidates over a video call? And up to what stage they take that process? Does that mean they decide it over a video call, or that is more like a funnel enrichment and then you meet them personally and make a
No,
decision?
I'm saying, end to end, A to Z, everything
Excellent.
getting done on a video call. So this is what is the change, uh, which I can see. Maybe it is uh, basically, maybe you can say that it is a result of COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, mainly I can foresee that this is main cause is COVID.
Understand.
But
Okay.
it's a good change. It's a very good
It's
change.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. And Nishant, more than adoption of the participant, I think it is taking out a lot of inefficiency of the face-to-face conversation. When I said inefficiency of face-to-face conversation, I know our teams struggle to facilitate these handshakes from an interviewer and interviewee perspective, just checking their availability and ensuring that how we can put them in a same room. A lot of time you see pushback from interviewee that I can't just travel 18
Yeah,
kilometers just to have a 30-minute call, and
absolutely.
because of that reason, there was a lot of interaction effort that we used to spend. Now, as both parties are becoming comfortable with this format, it is actually taking out a lot of those unnecessary waste activities out of the selection process. So it is not only reducing our effort, but is really shrinking the whole supply chain duration from that perspective. So that is one positive sign I can personally see. The other thing is, the camera consciousness, right? I mean, if you put me on camera, a lot of time people are conscious about it and they might not be the most comfortable, but I think once they will go through 2 or 3 interactions of similar kind, they will get very comfortable with this format. And once that happen, then no one can stop this phenomena from adoption perspective. These are some of the things that I can see happening on our side, and we use our own proprietary tools to facilitate these interactions. But I am really looking forward for some off-the-shelf solution which can help us manage this end to end, so that we are not really busy in the tool management, but we really do what is required from an interaction facilitation. Yeah, that is my wish list. From I hope somebody is working on this problem, and then we look forward to use those tools to do this. Um, Asif, from solutions perspective, which will make these interactions faster and better, are you working on some solution from your side where you think that you will be making our life much easier?
Yes, we are working on not one. Today I have 4 things to talk about um, in this space specifically, and I am very much hopeful this will make life of all of us quite easy. It should make it easy.
Yeah.
That's what the approach is. That's what the thought is. Um, Also, a lot of drivers, have happened. It's not now that because we believe so, this is going to happen. Uh, so earlier we were building these approaches. In the future, this will happen. This is what we believe, right? Now, those belief system has been shaken, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's belief system has been shaken. So, and we are seeing very strong drivers in the market. What is happening? What are people doing, right? What are these job seekers and recruiters doing, right? What do they want? And we engage a lot with these job seekers. So I'll just start with some very interesting trends that we have seen, right? So we always thought that mobile is the driver of the future. But what has happened is, with this whole lockdown in the past 1.5 years, our traffic on mobile versus desktop or any site was kind of 80-20.
Yeah.
Suddenly, this has come down to 60-40. More people are using desktop now. All of a sudden, see what has happened. every organization had taken a mobile first approach. Then they took a mobile only approach. Desktop was left far behind in terms of experience. Suddenly traffic has moved to desktop, right? Now we are again in a situation, hey, we have to now again revamp our desktop.
Absolutely.
That is one thing, one very strong trend. Now what is happening is, on desktop, people have a lot of time, right? So that means people have time. So what are they doing with that time? They are applying to job, right?
Yes.
Now, when they are applying to job is a zero cost effort, right? So they are ending up applying on more and more irrelevant jobs. So the problem that we had resolved in so many years of showing relevant jobs to the job seeker and making them apply on relevant job has suddenly turned around on us. Now people are applying on anything that is coming their way,
Absolutely.
even
Agree.
without thinking. So we are again at the problem that what should a recruiter do? There are so many irrelevant applications which are being generated in the system. So that has forced us to go back to the basics and now try to solve the same problem with a disruptive technology. I'll talk about that. So what we have done to solve that problem and what we are doing. Third thing is, everyone has started to believe that they need to get upskilled, right? EdTech has boomed,
Yep.
right? We also operate a marketplace, right? We also help people upskill themselves. Suddenly, that business has just grown exponentially
So,
everywhere. People are saying, I want to do this skill, I want to do this skill. Now, most of that is in panic. They're in a panic mode, right? So there's a sense of urgency, there's an ambiguity in the environment. So they are doing anything and everything that they can get their hands on, right? Good for the business, maybe not good for the job seeker and the
Yep.
industry, right? So that is one thing. Other thing is, what we have seen is people are not upskilling themselves basis their education anymore, right? Uh, and this is a very strong trend which we believe will play out in the future, is that education may not be the important thing to get a job, because people are now getting themselves skilled uh, with a core objective of I can get money by getting this skill, right? So, for example, I'm just taking examples over here. So, like you all know, gig-based economy has just
yes.
boomed, right? So, let's say a mechanical engineer. I'll talk about manufacturing sector. A mechanical engineer may know, hey, I am no longer going to get a job basis just this mechanical degree in the manufacturing sector.
Absolutely.
What should I do? Should I sit at home or should I look at something? So they say, okay, I can do a course in, let's say, RO repair, right? RO servicing, right? If you ask any of us, how many of us want to do RO servicing? No one will raise their hand. But look at the reality. In markets like Gurgaon, Noida, these people are earning above 1 lakh rupee per month. That's the kind of
Absolutely.
income they are
Yeah.
generating, right? And job seekers are realizing this. They are saying, hey, I need to do an RO service course.
Exactly.
I've spent 4 years in mechanical engineering. Koi baat nahi. Let me
Yeah.
do this 6 months course. I will earn 1 lakh rupees starting. So that's what is happening. Education is no longer driving the job market.
Yeah.
So
It's the skills that are doing. Exactly. Yeah.
and these skills are very orthogonal a lot of times.
Yeah.
Suddenly what has happened is, because there's so much urgency and so much ambiguity, consulting has all of a sudden blossomed.
Yeah.
All the career consultants are earning very well. Everyone wants to get consulted because what they have been taught, this is the education, I will learn this, I will do this. That has been, that thought has been broken, that chain has been broken. Now they say, what should I do to earn money? That's where a lot of community-based consulting is happening, paid consultancy is happening. People are looking for newer avenues.
Yeah.
And then this advent of whole Gen Zs, like you were saying, that a lot of us of our age group are still camera conscious. Gen Zs are not, right? Their
Right.
primary mode of interaction is via video, right? So TikToks and all these
Exactly.
moms and everything, right? So so they are not camera shy. They are camera conscious. I mean, let me put it this way: they are lazy to type. They are not willing to make
This is the selfie generation, right?
selfie generation, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So if you tell them leave a video resume, they are very happy.
Absolutely.
But if you tell them what's write a 1-page resume, 2-page resume, no, right? It's very difficult for us.
Yep.
So that's another thing which is playing out. So coming back to what we are doing in this space, I'll be more than happy to answer questions if anyone has any on this. So first is we have to go back to the basics, and we
Yep.
have to say that the problem is still the same at one place. It's a competency mapping space to start with,
Yep.
right? At least the competencies have to be mapped in a job matching environment. Now, in a competency matching space, there are two documents. One is the CV, which is a very big document, and then you have a JD. Now, JD is a smaller document. JD is more complex than a CV because see what happens, CV only talks about the past and the current of a person, what he has done, what he is doing. But JD also talks about the past, what he had done, what he is doing currently, and what he will do in this organization, right? So what we invested in as of now coming to the solution, is that we built a CV parser, which is totally based on a chronological events in a person's life and the skills that he has gained and the importance of those skills. But very soon we realized that is not enough. I also have to predict his future, what he can do given his current CV. So that's a predictive modeling problem. We have solved it. So now, because ultimately the JD is also talking about future. So I have to make the CV talk about the future, match that future space so that he's a right fitment, right? So easier said than done. A lot of different deep learning algorithms are used in that. Predictive modeling is used. Then, to solve this problem, you have to make career paths. You have to make choices for people that if I am this, if I'm an automobile engineer, what all I can become. If I'm a store supervisor, what all I can become. To become that, I need to have these skills, which are a must to have skills. When I become that, then I will be earning this much. After that, I will aim for this. Right? The whole future journey has to be mapped for people because we have so much data. The problem has been solved. It's not that the problem has not been solved because data is there. So that's another thing which we are making career paths for people. Now the JD in itself is a very tricky document. It talks about past, present, future, but it also talks about importance of a skill. It also talks about what is more important, what is less important, should have, must have, all these words, right? So it's in data science, it's not a classification problem. We call it as a lexical problem. It's an English language based problem. How the sentence has been formed, what are the verbs, adjectives, preposition, and how they have been structured. So that's what we are solving as of now.
Okay.
Once that is there, then we get the whole gist of a CV of a JD and the gist of the CV, which is more futuristic. And then we match both these documents to come up with a set of candidates that will not be best suited as of now, but also maybe in the future, because what is demanded out of them, they can do that work for you. Right? So happy to say we have built this whole CV parser, and to safeguard this proprietary technology, we have also filed a patent for it. So
wow,
we are the
interesting.
first company to file a patent for a CV parser.
Very nice.
And I'm very much hopeful we'll get it. It's going to be granted very soon to us.
Very
GD
good.
parser is again we are building. Maybe in the next meeting I'll come up with the news that we have built it. So that's one space. Going back to the basics, solving the problem. But see what happens in this whole space. Now I'll come to the second part of it. This still solves the competency problem, the textual problem. It doesn't solve the cultural fit problem. It doesn't solve the characteristic which a company is looking out for. Not every company is looking out for aggressive salespeople, right? Some companies are looking for people who are more emotional, people who are more agreeable in nature. Every role in an organization has different characteristics which are required. To solve that, right, you have to go the video interview way. Now, as the video interview you correctly mentioned, 4 years back, not long back in history, the technology that we are using right now, this Zoom, right, was only available with NASA. No one in the world has this technology. Like Skype was there, but Skype was not many-to-many networking, right? Yes. And you must have seen in all these old movies, the kind of interface we are using, the NASA guys were using it, right? Even ISRO was not having it.
Right.
What has changed in 4 years, how has it come on our desktop, on our mobile phone, right? That's what happens when the uh, the Silicon Valley companies try to push a technology. It never came because of user demand. It came because those companies pushed it, and it accelerated because of the COVID, which has happened.
Absolutely.
So we always keep an eye what is happening in the Silicon Valley. What is the next big thing which is in making? Right? We all know AI is there, augmented reality is there, virtual reality is there. They're working on it, right? So and that's where we keep an eye on. And video has always been there in their agenda, and they will keep on pushing it. They will keep on coming with more and more innovations in this whole video space. So hence it becomes important for us. That's one. Second is it helps us assess a candidate in a psycholinguistic environment. What is psycholinguistic? Uh, a psychometric analysis in a more linguistic way, what he is speaking. Right? We try to assess the candidate on we call it the big five ocean phenomena. So most of you would be aware, very popular in the market. So, and very well accepted worldwide. So now AI can solve this problem. We are building this product. It's in the kind of a mid way of development. In a couple of months, we'll be launching it. So in this whole environment, a person can be assessed on two things. One is the video assessment, which tells the big five traits of that person: openness, consciousness, emotional, agreeableness, neuroticism. Right. The good thing is these whole parameters are tuned as per the organizational requirement. So Infosys, I'm just taking names.
Yeah.
Infosys may have a very different personality requirement as compared to, let's say, an HCL.
You're right.
Right. So, and it happens everywhere. Right. Maruti may have a very different requirement as compared to an MG Hector. Right. So, and that's where our organizational psychologist steps in. New role come in the market, organizational psychology. So they will go and talk to these organizations. A lot of these organizations we already have the data about. Right. We can extrapolate this, so we can extrapolate Genpact for L&T and vice versa. That can be done. So it's also a plug and play solution. But we can Genpact can also tell us, this is this role, these are the personality traits I'm looking out for. So the AI tries to match the person, what he is saying, how his facial expressions, her body language are, try to give it a score on all these personality traits and then matches it with the organizational personality traits required. Additionally, it also returns and yields and a CFR score basis the language assessment. Now, yields CFSR is so anything in a BPO space, it's all voice, right? So in sales, it's very important how a person communicates, right? So in customer success teams, it's very important. So it also can return, AI can also return an CFR and an yield score. Now, basis this, all these scores, a complete report can be made about a person, and the HR just has to validate that. Or the HR can also leave it on the machine to match and tell these are the matching candidate on competencies as well as on your personality traits and culture of the organization.
Absolutely.
So that solves a lot of problem. That should solve a lot of problem in the sourcing and the hiring space. So this is one. The other thing is I'll talk about something on what is happening in the community space, right? So job seekers now, communities are becoming very strong, and they will become very strong. People will interact with each other. It will no longer be a very closed economy, right? People are now open to talk about the jobs requirement. Like they're open to get consultancies, even paid consultancies.
Yeah.
Right? Gone are the days when we were very skeptical about, I will not tell my salary to anyone. Now people are open, right? They say, this is what I earn. This is the open economy, right? So what has happened suddenly, people are now finding a need to talk to each other, not only to the recruiter or the company, but also amongst their peers who are there on a job portal.
Absolutely.
So mentorships have become very popular these days, paid mentorships. So because things are changing, and secondly, they are also expecting that, hey, I will not be assessed on my BTech degree. I will be assessed on some other skills which I've acquired, right? So how to cope up with it? So there are paid mentorships which are happening. We are working in that platform. That is becoming very important. Uh, the other thing is people now uh, also expect. We have done a lot of surveys, and people expect. Yeah, see, job portal is okay. है ना? I go there to find, it's a very transactional thing, right? Applying, and for a recruiter also posting a job. Can this site, ultimately it's about making money. Job is about, end of the day, for a lot of India, it's about
Earning
making
livings and all. Exactly. Yeah.
money, right? Now people are asking this question: why should I earn money only the way it has to be earned? Right? Can I earn additional revenue? Right? Can a job portal help me in making additional money? Mentorship, obviously, one platform, very strong platform, wherein all the senior folks in the system can become not only job seekers but also mentors. And then they can be mentees. They can provide paid consultancies. Even the recruiter fraternity can chip in, right? Why to use a job portal only to hire and source? If the organization policies allow us, we can earn additional income. We can become mentors. Right. We can earn. So my engagement increases. And if a person is giving mentorship, he or she is also building her brand, right? It becomes easy for the recruiter to now identify and shortlist that, hey, this guy, both these guys are in the same space, competency mapping, they're okay, but this guy has talked so much about this. He's helping people in this space. So he may be a better candidate. Exactly. So these are the few things. In the interest of time, I'll limit myself.
Yes. No, Asif, thank you so much. In fact, you know what? I just want to pick two interesting keywords from all that you said. I think one I really liked about is this selfie generation who's becoming very comfortable with video. In fact, just like we are the ones who are more comfortable typing rather than writing, the next world is moving towards talking over video rather than typing. So that's definitely leads to a very credible conclusion that people will get adapted to video interview, and that's not something that is this discomfort is going to vanish pretty soon. The second keyword that I want to talk about is the gig workforce, and here is the one more dimension. See, until now, when we said video interview, we said process improvement, saving of time, saving of travel, but these are operational efficiency of video interview. I want to talk about three more things that we are doing as a company, which is creating new possibilities, right? Not about process improvement, but creating new possibilities which was never there before. So we have a service where we work with our international clients and we give them remote workforce from India. That means somebody, a very high-end consultant working with some clients in US. And one of the fundamental way that we facilitate these things is through video interview. So remote workforce is actually the fundamentals of remote workforce is video interaction. Yeah, if you can see somebody across the continent, and if you can talk to him and if you are okay with remote workforce, then why you are not okay with interviewing somebody? So it's kind of really increased the catchment area from a skill consumer's perspective and a skills provider perspective. And why it is happening? Because there is a very robust video interaction channel that has become possible now. The second thing, which is more domestic in nature, as employers are leveraging more and more video interviews, it is also helping them increase their catchment area or a funnel, right? I mean, I don't think anybody until now used to say, okay, I'm looking for a 4-year experienced Java programmer, but I'm getting somebody, say, from Pune, and I want to ask that guy to fly to Bangalore to participate in a 45-minute interview. So typical, the patterns were that the team will fly there, they will have this big walk-in where people will come and sit in a big hotel or any other place. Those days are gone. I mean, now with video interview, you can really create the funnel and enrich it, even sitting in your office. So that's the second possibility we see. And the third is that companies are even becoming remote workforce within India. We know some of our clients whose head office is there in Noida, but they have hired a programmer who, because of the COVID reason, is say sitting in Assam or Trichy or Mysore or God knows places, and he or she is absolutely contributing. And one way that has been possible is by evaluating them through the video interviews, and not just evaluating, in fact, interacting. So my uh, feeling on this particular aspect is that video interview not only will help us uh, process improvement, but it will create new possibilities which we did not imagine until now, right? So that would be my concluding thought. Nishant, would you like to add anything else to what Asif said until now?
No, actually, I am completely aligned with Asif. What I just want to share, Asif, with you, because I worked in MNC's companies, and I got some, I attended some international HR meets also, where I got a chance to meet global HR leaders uh, from different countries. So actually, what I have realized over there, some of them even not having HR degree, you know and I was quite surprised, because I, being from India, we always think that if somebody has done CA, he will be definitely a finance guy. If somebody has done MBA in HR, he is definitely a HR person. But in when we see the qualification of those gentlemen, or maybe the ladies, that sitting on a very higher positions, and in HR fraternity, or maybe not only in HR, in other different departments also, and they belong to their qualification is completely different. So, as you rightly said, that it's not a qualification. Ultimately, it's a skill. What you have acquired, it's totally depends on your skills, how you have developed your skills. And companies are also looking for the skills, not for your qualification. Qualification is no more, it's no more required. Now, if I talk about particularly from the manufacturing sector, as you said that there are mechanical and degree holder and diploma holders. They are working, it's a ground reality that they are working as an operator in the industry.
Yeah.
Nobody has thought earlier. There were days when ITI or non ITI, people, they used to work on the lines. But currently, if we see the because everybody wants to become engineer, and there is always a demand and supply game is always there. So
Yes.
if you have more supply of diploma and degree holders, then definitely they will, you have the flexibility to engage them as operator. So again, a person who is diploma holder is becoming CEO of an organization, you know and a person who is having a degree holder, he is continuously working as an operator since suppose 10 years. So it, because he has not acquired his skills. So my intention is that whenever you are, whichever field you are into, but you have to you have to sharpen your skills
Absolutely.
to remain in the industry. You have to work, you have to be with the time. So if there are technological changes which you can see that, the technology is getting changed, you have to adopt those technologies to
Absolutely.
remain in the business, otherwise you will be out.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So this is one thing. And second thing which you said, that you know the job consult, some I was just looking at the questions. So somebody has asked whether, what do you see the future of consultants, job consultants in India. To be very honest with you, I do not see a future of job consultant in India.
Right.
If I am from a manufacturing sector, definitely we have in particular in automotive sector, there is not, the automotive sector is not growing since last 4 5 years. And prior to that, there was a there was a significant growth which used to have, there were so much investment plans, new plants were coming, and then there were so much requirements were there, and people were getting opportunities day by day. But now there is a lot of competition, And in if I talk about the OEMs, Maruti suppose is having one car, then Hyundai is having another car in less price, more features. MG is coming, Kia is there. Lot of customers are there. Every OEM is looking at the cost, with having less cost and more features. Tata is there in the competition again. So having those things, and they are further asking cost reduction to their vendors.
Vendors.
And then everybody, you have to see, if suppose you have to give cost reduction to your customer, then definitely you have to give salary hike to a person every year. Then your employee cost will increasing, your fixed cost is getting increased,
Increasing.
and your profits are getting down. Ultimately, it's a business, not a charity.
Yeah.
No organization is working for charity. It's a business. So remain, if we want to remain in the business, if we want to remain employed, I'm talking from as an employee perspective. So we have to sharpen our skills, and we have to adopt those technologies, as Asif said. So Asif, I was also curious about one thing, like you said about so many features. I heard that we face, particularly in as a recruiter, that there are certain skills which are required and which are very rare. Suppose I just give, like you said, Java. Suppose I just give an example. Suppose Java language, a person who is having Java experience is very limited, suppose. And in that case, you have very less candidates available in the job site or in the market. Then, and there are people who are not having on they have not uploaded their CVs on any job site, and they are still not looking at any change. But whenever they look for a change, they will upload the CV. I think that kind of artificial intelligence is required when recruiter come to know that, okay, this skill, there is a new person who has uploaded his CV in the job site, and is having this skill which you are looking for. So that kind of artificial intelligence feature is required in the job site. I know you must be working on it, but I just want to hear it from you.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, no. In fact, Nishant, that was an interesting input. I'm so sorry. In interest of time, I'm taking the conversation back to Vasundhara. Vasundhara, there are a lot of questions out there.
Yeah, thank
And
you. Thanks
yeah,
everyone for sharing your inputs. We have only 8 minutes left and a lot of questions to answer. I hope that we'll extend the event by 10 minutes. So let's start addressing the questions now. The first one is for Mr. Kalra. Since he said that AI tools will change the ways of hiring, what is his belief about the changes brought in the recruitment pyramid after this? Can you please share some numbers and ratios? That would be great.
Asif, is this question for you?
This
Yes.
is for Mr. Kalra.
Okay. Perfect. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Can you please repeat the question? I think I misunderstood. I thought
Yeah,
that.
so the question is, since you have said that AI tools will change the ways of hiring, what is your belief about the changes brought in the recruitment pyramid after this? Can you share some numbers or ratios? That would be great.
So number and ratio is not easy to share, to be very honest, at this point of time. But yes, of course, there are things are getting changed, but it cannot be replaced 100%. As I said in the beginning, that we are also doing 90%. I have not said that we are doing 100%. There are certain management positions which cannot be done through virtual mode of hiring. So I will just say that there are, I will again go back before COVID scenario. In management interviews, there are a lot of face-to-face discussions happened. Meetings happened, and then the round. If I because I told that I am from manufacturing plant, then place visit, facility visit, manufacturing plant visit, show the technologies and everything. Those kind of things cannot replaced through this virtual hiring. So of course there will be certain limitations in the virtual hiring, but it's a very wonderful tool which wherever possible we should adopt. But it cannot replace 100%. This is my belief. Maybe I would ask Tarunesh to share his viewpoint.
No, in fact, you rightly said. I mean, see, no one is claiming that the hiring will happen on the click of a button. So I don't think, at least that's my view. AI is a facilitation and easier job tool. So previously, if you're putting 20 units of effort in creating a funnel of 3 or 4 good candidates who can fulfill your job requirements, now maybe you will be putting half of the effort to reach there. So AI does not mean it takes you to the final stages of shortlisting or selection, but at least it cleans up a lot of garbage that is irrelevant so that you can focus your energies on where the real meat is. So that would be my view on that topic.
Yeah.
Moving to the next question. Can you share some HR recruitment strategy that will be far more accepted in the HR domain across all industries once slowly we move to digital hiring? Not a general statement, but a strategy that can be helpful for us.
I think Tarunesh has already answered this question. What kind of persons should be recruited through virtual mode of hiring, and what sort of people we should go for without virtual hiring? Maybe Tarunesh, I think you have already answered, but if you can just repeat it, yeah.
Yeah. In fact, Vasundhara, you're reading this question. Can we share some HR recruitment strategies that will be far more accepted in the HR domain across all industries? Okay. So I think the basis doesn't change. When we talk about tools, technology, videos, it doesn't mean it is taking away the softer aspect of any profession. My understanding is, and that is what my personal belief is, very defining your strategy or focus from an industry perspective, make it as narrow as possible. A lot of time people make a mistake. They believe, the recruitment is a simple job, and whether you want a plant manager or an SAP consultant or a CXO or a receptionist, end of the day it is just putting some keywords in the job portal. I think they make a serious mistake by making those assumptions. If recruitment would have been just a keyword search, then maybe college grads just out of their the BCom or the BAs will become great recruiters. I think there is a lot more. It's a consulting profession. It works at an intersection of tool, people, or psychology, and then the knowledge of industry, right? So one strategy that I will propose, whether it is digital or not, is to narrow your focus, right? So it doesn't matter you're focusing on automotive industry or a retail industry or a clothing business or telecom or banking and financial services or ITS. Do whatever you want to do, but do less. I will say, when I say do less, doesn't mean from an effort or a work perspective, but cater to some selective industries and become competent and focused and become an expert in that area.
So Tarunesh, I also want to add one more thing, Vasundhara, over here. Is basically as we are talking about strategy. So strategy as a recruiter, as a HR, we must have to look at the future of the candidate, not only at the current
Yeah.
position which we are hiring. If suppose today we are hiring a person as an executive, tomorrow with the time he must have to grow, and he must have to reach at least at the manager level. So one level up at least we should focus, whether the person is having potential to grow, or he will become a deadwood in the organization. So that strategy we should always look at it from a strategical point of view.
There's one more point which I would like to put over here. Just like Shant has mentioned, in the West world, HR doesn't mean HR. You don't need to have an HR degree to do an HR activity. Right? If you look at most of those folks, they are marketing guys who are doing HR work. Why? Because HR is now becoming more of a marketing tool, right? No longer is it just a matching. See, matching is done at the platform level, right? What will you talk to the client? The best of the candidates whom you want, you also have to market the job. You have to tell them why they are a good fit for this job, why they should join this organization, right? So it is also becoming more of a marketing game. So that's also becoming a very important strategy that HR or who are able to explain the job well, and why should a person do that job, right? Uh, so they are doing very well in that space. They are getting more conversions and more better conversions. The hiring is happening faster because they are also creating an intent environment beyond matching.
Thank you. Thanks for answering the question. Let's move to the next question. Taste of the pudding lies in its eating. With the advent of the virtual interview, the step of recruitment will move as below, particularly up to mid-level positions, particularly in core sector, engineer constructions like civil, mechanical, electric, process and control, EPC constructions, etc. First stage, recruitment through outsourcing through third-party employers. Next stage, fixed term employment, FTC by companies on direct role, maybe 2 to 3 years. Only if the person fits into the culture of the companies, then only offer company employment.
Tarunesh, shall I answer this?
Yeah, go ahead. Absolutely. You know more than me on this. You are on the consumer side, Nishant.
So
So,
I will just share Vasundhara on this question. I will give my experience to my. I have made 3 4 visits to China, and I closely observed their practices, what they are following. So in China, basically they are having majority of the employees are on FTC, fixed term contract. Even working as a HR head is a FTC. So that kind of concept was not acceptable in our country. But now, as you must be aware that there are some labor laws are getting changed. There are some new rules are coming, and FTC will be a ground reality, or you can say in future you will see many positions as an FTC in future, definitely in 2 3 years. Now the government has still hold all the codes, labor codes which are there. The plan was to share in April, then they have postponed it due to COVID, and maybe I don't know
absolutely.
whether due to COVID now there is news that it will be postponed for the next year. But I can foresee that I have read some of the labor codes, and I know that this is the major change which is upcoming change is there in those codes. So we will be having FTC, a lot of FTC in senior positions and in manufacturing sector, and maybe not only in limited to manufacturing sector, in every sector you will see that.
Yep.
Thank you. The next question, and most probably the last question that we are taking for this evening. What do you think may be the scope of headhunter consultants, particularly in identifying niche skilled candidates?
I think I have maybe made my comments already, so maybe it's up to Asif and Tarunesh to share their comments.
Yeah, I can put numbers. So Talunesh would be a better person to answer, but I can just put some perspective over here. Headhunting is a very popular thing, right? Which happens. So if I tell you some percentages, 30% searches are headhunting searches, right? Huge number of searches, like people are doing it. So are these searches converting? Not sure, right? So what? Why are people doing headhunting searches? What is the objective? Everything. Yeah. So a lot of things are we are not able to understand, like why people do headhunting searches. So, but they do it. So that is one thing. Headhunting searches are popular. Uh, Niche skill searches. Nishant already had mentioned. See, one thing in the niche based searches, what I have seen in so many years is, if a person is rare, he is rare. है ना? You cannot make him common. If we expect a job board or any consultant or anyone to bring lots and lots of niche people, we are not expecting the right thing. It just doesn't happen, right? So now the whole point is, how do we do this? We have to always look at it on a case to case basis. We cannot have the same yardstick for every niche profile, right? So in that case, I can talk from a job board perspective. A job board has to work with the client very closely. There has to be an arbitrage model over there. See, what happens is, a job board has a huge infrastructure to attract candidate basis the need and bring them. We can't bring every niche candidate beforehand. It's just not possible, right? Because there is no incentive to bring them on board. And plus, I have to spend a fortune to bring them on board. But if there's a requirement, right, which is not urgent, by the way, and we are willing to wait for a few days, we can, because we have the infrastructure, we have the whole SEO, mailing system, social media, everything built, right? We can, on a requirement, we can bring candidates basis the requirement and uh, tell them that why we are bringing you on board, because we have a good job for you as of now. Why don't you come here? You can get that job. That is one thing in which we can engage with the consultants and the clients on a niche based environment. That may not have answered this question, but I was just trying to put
Yeah.
two things across here.
Vasundhara, I think maybe I'll be equally good and candidate to answer that question. So a lot of people are asking questions about consulting. So here is my view about it. I think Nishant recently said that because I think when we started our conversation, because automotive industry is going through a lot of stress and there is a focus on cost reduction, and needless to say that will make jobs of the consulting firms much more difficult because every company would be focused on cost cutting. So, and I think I appreciate the background, and Nishant knows far more about his industry that I know. Our view is very different about it, right? I mean, Orcopod is growing at around compounded annual growth rate of around 50 to 60% every year without fail. This is happening since last 6-7 years. There is an irrational exuberance in the industry that we are very active in, and you will be surprised to know that our business is up by 200%, right? And by the way, it's not that we are doing any magic. Anybody who is focused on the industry that we are focused on, they are looking at a huge workload their way. But quick answer to your question, whether it is niche skills or they are simpler skills, the consulting firms will remain relevant, provided they add value. If you are thinking, so answer is very simple, right? Are you a heavy lifting guy who is just throwing profile on somebody's inbox? Maybe your days are limited. But if you are a trusted advisor to your client who helps solve their business problem, the future is bright. For a very simple reason, I think somebody said, I don't remember, that the world is moving towards recruitment process outsourcing, not insourcing. I can tell you our RPO business is up by 5 or 6 times, not in percentage terms, but times. That means clients are realizing and acknowledging that bringing expert on the table will solve their problem and will make the whole supply chain far more efficient and, more important, economical. It's a myth that when you do it internally, you save money. Actually, when you do it internally, you spend far more money, because we, as a third party, have refined the process to that level, which practically is not possible for you to do being a client and a low volume consumer. So anybody who is from the profession of consulting, I can say it with a fair amount of confidence that future is bright. There was never a better time to be in this profession than today.
So, Tarnesh, just to clarify my stand over here is like if I talk about R&D,
Yeah.
manufacturing R&D. So in R&D, if you see, there are a lot of hirings are happening. The main reason is again the cost. Cost.
Absolutely.
Why? I'm sharing the reason behind it. There are a lot of European OEMs, European companies, US based companies. They are shifting their R&D base
To India.
from high cost country to low cost
Absolutely.
country,
True.
and India is full of talent.
Yeah.
So there is no limitations. We have a lot of good candidates, and if simply I will just simply say that our cost is one third
Of
from
the
R&D cost is
Western.
one third.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that is a major reason when you can see that there is a lot of recruitments are getting happen. In wherever there is a R&D shift is there, but in general, wherever I'm talking about the running plants,
Run of the
running
mills. Exactly. Yeah.
running
You're right. I
operations.
think, yeah.
It's
You are
it's
right.
challenging. It's
No,
quite
I'm with you. Absolutely. Absolutely, Nishant. Without doubt. Yeah. Back to you, Vasundhara.
Thank you. On behalf of Shine.com, I would like to thank our panelists today. It was an honor to have you here today. Thanks everyone for being a wonderful audience and making this session so much interactive. I know there are a lot of questions pending, but I'll ensure that a Q&A guide will be sent to you post the event. Recording of the webinar will be shared with all the attendees along with the feedback mail. I would request everyone to please share your feedback. Thanks everyone. This is Vasundhara signing off now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.